What business or store that was killed by the internet do you miss the most? Leave your replies in the comments below. I honestly miss video stores. It was fun to wander around them and you might end up renting something you never heard of on a whim. There used to be this really cool lady that owned my local store. Over the years she learned my tastes and could suggest things that I might like. Was way more accurate than Netflix suggestions, etc. Plus I could always look forward to the fun social interaction of talking about our favorite movies. Had the same experience here. My mum knew the owner on first name basis and he let late fees and such slip by a little longer than usual and always had things to recommend. TBH, sometimes it was just nice to get out of the house with my mum and hang out at the video store picking the $7 for $7 weekly deal. Flea markets. Yes, I know they still exist. The problem is that thanks to the proliferation of the internet, it's pretty difficult to find a good deal on much of anything, especially games. People check the prices on eBay and other places and just price around that. You could go to a dozen flea markets or pop-up shops and the same game will be around the same price at every single one of them. Gotta beat the flea market vendors to the product. Most peeps are just buying stuff from estate sales. Co-worker who works flea markets is always talking about getting crap loads of shit for dirt cheap at estate sales. Not exactly the same experience as a flea market, but if you're just in the market for cheap stuff then yeah. Estate sales and auctions. My husband buys and resells things on Amazon and eBay. That's where he gets most of his stuff. That and the clearance racks at Walmart. Also, he showed me how just about everything I buy off Amazon is actually from a dollar store. For example, I bought some cute shelf liner off Amazon for $8. Yeah, that shelf liner was $1 from Dollar General. People literally buy out dollar stores in product like that and list it on Amazon for $10, $15, or $20. You can make some decent money doing it, which is pretty surprising. KB Toys and Toys R Us. I grew up with weekend trips to kilobytes. And to this day, as a man, I still love toys. It's something I passed on to my own son, and though he's too young to have known KB, I loved taking him to True, even if just to look around. It was one of our things, our father and son activity. And now, there's nothing that even compares. OMG. I forgot about KB Toys. Every time I went to the mall with my mom when I was younger, I would beg her to take me there. Edit. Also, the Sanrio store. I was hooked. The little display in the front with the flipping puppies, walking snorting pigs, and that thing with the little animals going up the stairs and down the slides. Not sure exactly how to describe that toy, but I'm sure anyone who remembers it knows what I mean, lol. I miss the former quality of Land's End merchandise. Land's End has really gone downhill since having to compete online to the point where most of their merchandise is unrecognizable from its former quality and durability. My dad used to work for Land's End. They let him go unexpectedly after almost 30 years. He became gleeful that Land's End's reputation tanked after that. Their stuff is garbage. I won't buy any of their stuff because of how they treat their employees. I worked for them back in college in their shipping. They still made quality merchandise back then and the employee discount was a godsend for my poor ass. I dressed like a Land's End mannequin for my last couple of years of college. Sales pros in general. A guy selling you a fridge who has sold fridges for 10 years and knows all about them. Now I look for stars and try to discern real versus paid versus bot reviews. Yes. Or the guy in the hardware store that actually knows what tool does what, and can help you find the best fasteners and stuff. The hardware store thing still exists in small town America. True Value and Ace to name two. I went into a Best Buy to buy a monitor and wanted to ask someone for help for the best one, but the manager at the store just told me to look online. Yeah. Since they got rid of commission, knowing literally anything about what they're selling really just isn't part of the job anymore. I miss magazine stores' newsstands. Part of my routine for years on Fridays was a walk into the neighborhood newsstand on the way to work. I'd spend 15 minutes perusing the new stuff. I'd usually spend 20-30 bucks on 5-6 magazines. Video game stuff, 14 times. Games magazine, always that day's SF Chronicle, whatever. Most of those places are long gone. I suppose I spend less money on that stuff, but I miss it. I miss really good hobby shops. I build plastic models, usually World War II aircraft. Those high-end hobby shops have all the closed down. Now all you can generally find are RC shops that have a shelf of a couple plastic models here and there. The only exception in the greater Portland area is Tammy's Hobbies, but I'm pretty sure their days are numbered for plastic models as well. I think that has to do with the clientele in the area. All the hobby stores in my area are either plastic models or trains. Or Gundam. The only places around me are Gundam. Not that I'm complaining, because I love them. For real, man. I don't even care about the show, but those models are fun to build. Arcades for sure. My dad used to drop me off at a nickel arcade with $5. I felt like a king. This is a big one for me. Arcades were how my dad and I bonded when I was really young. There was one in our mall growing up called Pocket Change, and we would always go race each other or shoot aliens together. I miss that place. I never got into arcades because by the time I was old enough to be any good at video games, around 2002 to 2004, basically every arcade game I encountered was $1 per play, and I didn't think it was fun to blow a whole $2 one or two tries on a video game. Especially when I had an N64 at home. It's a shame that everything costs so much nowadays, especially here in Canada with our trash dollar. I ran into the same issue. Why would I spend $1-2 per play when I could just save my money and spend $50 on an entire game I can play all I want? They raised costs at the same time wages were stagnating and the price of their primary competitor was dropping. Plus I don't have to deal with a good 25% of the machines being broken or having issues because the owner is too cheap to repair them. Used bookstores. There's now only one in a 5-city radius that is only open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I use thrift books now. It's cheap and they have a lot of different books, but it's not the same as browsing through stacks looking for treasures. Edit. I've been informed that for the most part used bookstores are booming. I guess the suburbs outside Detroit are just cesspools. Sounds about right. That's the best part, the browsing. I usually end up picking up books that I would never stumble across online. Luckily we have a used bookstore here that has bag sales once a month. As many books as you can fit into a shopping bag for $5. It's awesome.